Good afternoon. The past week's been kind of a crazy week for the tropicals. I mean, in the duration of a week, the tropicals endured a crazy hailstorm. I mean, you know what? Luckily for us, for me anyhow, most of the tropicals are just barely waking up, which would mean the foliage is not at all impacted by the falling ice. Yeah, it was crazy. And then right after the hailstorm, the following day, an insane 2 days worth of wind. I mean, it was just crazy. Um, so you know what remaining leaves on the tropicals, of course, get dropped, which is great. So timing really couldn't have been any better. Just because, I mean, with the wind, with the amount of wind, if you look at the Inga here above us, I mean, the old damaged leaves get knocked down, and then the new ones, if you look at this guy right here, new branches are coming out at this point to replace the damaged leaves. So this is all expected. It's just really good timing. And to to add to this further, you can't tell, but this morning was 35 degrees. And so was the normal morning before that. So 2 days in a row, 35 degrees. To put that into perspective, that's 3 degrees above freezing. And then looking at the forecast, it's gonna go up to 80 degrees. So you've got slightly above freezing temperature, and then within a week's time frame, you've got scorching temperatures. The that much of a swing, the trees can appreciate some help. So let me show you what I mean by can appreciate some help. So this is really in preparation for the the warmer weather that's forecasted next week and likely going forward. I mean, we really only have 1 month worth of spring, and after that, come May, we're going to be basically summer temperature. So if you come here, let me just show you really quick what I did in preparation for the heat, and that would be basically to apply a form of sunscreen. Yes, even though it was above freezing for the past couple of days, I'm making preparations for these tropical fruit trees that, in my opinion, has needed some help with getting adjusting to the swing of temperature. So this is what I have. So for the most part, it's really only mangoes and avocado trees that I apply this to, and that would be to actually paint the exposed trunk and branches of the tree with an organic paint solution. It basically provides sunscreen protection. Um, yeah. Now notice it's I'm selecting the trees that I feel would appreciate the help. This guy is been in the ground a little over a year, whereas this guy is actually been in the ground. This is its third year, so I know it's gonna be okay. When you look at the bottom, I mean, well, before I start, let me just show you if I can show. So mangoes especially, when the new growth, when they're growing, see that? It's still very much green. It hasn't hardened yet to a bark, for example, which means, yeah, this particular branch will get burnt very easily. Whereas once it matures, it becomes a nice thick bark where it essentially is able to insulate itself against the sun. So that's why I'm not painting the exposed part down here, and instead am electing to only paint the younger, tender branches. So in addition to painting some of the mangoes, I also use the exact same solution to essentially cover the wounds of newly pruned tropicals, sunrise papaya here. Just in the interest of safety, just because these branches were really coming out towards the sidewalk, I did just manage to just take them out, and instead I'm gonna just rely on these two branches just for food production, which is fine. But yeah, as you can see, I did seal them up using the exact same paint. Uh, and so specific to papaya, uh, see all these little growth nodules? I'm going to be wanting to take them out just because this will essentially turn into a branch. So by removing them and painting them afterward, it kind of seals the wound. And therefore forces it to grow vertically. I mean, if you look at all this is branches essentially, well, not branches, these are leaves coming out as the temperature warms up. Now, of course, I'm not going to be painting all tropical fruit trees like longans. I mean, these guys can definitely take it. In fact, if you come here, I wanted to show you the difference. See the color differences between the two? When I first planted this guy in the ground years ago, I did paint him just to give him some extra sun protection. But if you look at the new growth, I mean, it should be naturally brown. So this tells me, yeah, I mean, based on the fact that the new growth is not at all affected by the heat, I'm gonna leave them alone. It's really better to leave them to their own defense rather than giving them assistance. But at the same time, some of the younger trees definitely would appreciate it. So even though this is a mango, this is a Kent mango. I'm sorry, Keith mango. He's grown from seed, and I'm not gonna be painting him just because when you look at the way that the foliage is, when the sun shines on it, practically all parts of the branch is going to be shaded. So trees that are grown from seed are incredibly smart in that they know to cover themselves when need to. I mean, this is natural, so it essentially is shading itself. So that's why I'm not shading or painting this guy because it's nature's already doing it for me. So I'll take you to the back where I've got some more examples to show you. All right, so here's the back. So just focusing on the paint that I use, the product that I use. I mean, I'm sure there are many other products out there that do a good job, but I've just been a fan of this product by REV Organics. They seem to do a pretty respectable job of it, and best of all, the paint that is made, it's all organic. It's essentially various combination of rock dust that essentially, when mixed with water, becomes paint. Um, one tip on that, okay? I would avoid using paint that you buy from your paint store, as in like latex paint or house paint, general household paint. I would just avoid using that. Instead, I would use something that's a bit more organic, something that's rock based. The reason for that is the the industrial paint, the latex paint. I mean, they don't degrade, unlike the rock paint, where over a period of a couple of years, when water hits it and the sun hits it, it eventually just degrades, and that's how you want it. You want the tree to naturally form a barrier. I mean, with a paint, I mean, there are still paint from like the 1800s that people are still finding on the ground. So yeah. Um, Now, with most of the trees that I have here, like the anonas, the chermoyas, these guys, I mean, this is already a bark. In fact, if you come here, I mean, this is the perfect opportunity. I mean, buds, new buds are growing. I mean, this guy is spring is here. Yeah, right now the trees are just incredibly confused right now, just because it's like it's hot during the daytime, but then it could be really cold during the mornings. So the trees are a bit confused, but looking at the forecast, it's gonna get warm. So that's sun protection. Yes, in April. Uh, so now the next thing that I want to talk about is actually wind. I mean, again, it was just incredibly windy. Now, if you've noticed though, the way that I've got the trees strategically planted, the big Inga here, the ice cream bean tree here, which if you notice the top of the tree, I mean, it is basically bald. I mean, it's defoliated completely. And that's because of a combination of the frost. I mean, it's doing its job in protecting all the lower canopy. So it's done a phenomenal job of protecting it, uh, sacrificing its leaves, of course. And also during the windy days, I mean, a lot of the wind, I mean, a lot of the foliage were dropped because of the wind. And in doing so, I mean, it gave a lot of the understory trees a great opportunity to grow, just because, I mean, yeah, many of the understory trees were not at all affected by the wind. It really was mostly just the larger trees on top, the Inga and the Jamun, and as well as, of course, the bamboo there. I mean, the bamboo really was acting as a great wind barrier. So if you notice, the practice that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to mimic natural forest. Where you've got the upper canopy, the middle canopy, and then the small stuff that's on the ground. That serves as the main protection. And then after that, I mean, the black sapote here and even the longan here, to some extent, serves as protection for the newly planted tropicals down here. I mean, these were the tropicals that I planted, just last week, really. And so far, it's done a pretty good job of protecting everything underneath here. So that's what I'm trying to emulate in my yard here. So now, side topic, because of our crazy cold or crazy swing in temperature, the trees are the trees, unlike their native climate, they tend to fruit way later. Look at this longan, okay? I mean, if you notice the top, it's finally trying to grow, okay? So this is a tree that's in the ground, exposed to the elements. Granted, it's got some protection from the mother tree up there. However, let me show you. I wanted to show you this real quick. I wanted to kind of show you this observation. Heated greenhouse. There's a longan in here, which actually, if you come here, I'll show you. Let's see. Actually, let me see if I can get in here. Alrighty, check it out. Shelter greenhouse. Very humid. This is as close to its native climate as you can get. Bunch of new growth there. And best of all, it's flowering. I mean, it's literally flowering. See if I can try to focus on that. Well, maybe I can't. It's just the angle of the sun here. But yeah, no, this is essentially is what you would get if it's in a very nice, climate. Yeah, apologies on the focus there, but it's just flowering. But yeah, this is what you get. I mean, so far, everything that's in my greenhouse seems to be doing okay. Of course, the red custard apple is, yeah, he does this. But these guys are actually surprisingly resilient. Jackfruit back there is holding on like a champ. But yeah, I mean, even the Malay apple here, I mean, like, it looks kind of sad, right? However, when you look at the edge of the foliage, the edge of the branch, they're growing. I mean, new leaves are coming out. So that's really the difference. I mean, this is what you could really expect in their native climate. So yeah, anyhow, I just wanted to really make you well, lasting. This is also a great observation. So I know I make a pretty big emphasis on microclimate. I mean, everything is really without the proper microclimate. A lot of the stuff that I've got here probably won't make it. Great example, mango. Okay, so this one looks great. The branch on the left looks great. The one on the right, oh, you know, this is obviously frost damage. Now notice the top. The branch that's on the right is exposed. It's got literally nothing protecting it from the top. Whereas the branch on the left, on my left, this mucilon is protecting it. So yeah, I mean, all you need sometimes is something above the canopy of the tree and just enough to provide it some frost protection, and looks great. So yeah, that's really it. It's just the small things that make a big difference to a tree. And Sonam cherry, sad looking at this moment, but this is completely normal. What happens is, even though this is an evergreen tree, they will drop off the leaves over a period of time, and new growth comes out to then replace the dropped leaves, which is really what you want. So yeah, this is completely normal. With most tropicals, you're probably not going to be noticed it. Um, but yeah, they, like you and I were, you know, we get a new skin every 2 months or so. Sampling applies to a tree every year. They essentially get a new set of leaves. So yeah, yeah. So far, I mean, everything seems to be doing great. I mean, again, it's just been crazy lately. It's just, but if you've noticed the bananas back there, I mean, as soon as I see new green leaves like that, that tells me, yeah, spring is right around the corner. So anyhow, yeah, that was it. Just wanted to kind of show you what I'm doing in preparation for this extreme swing in temperature, especially as we get to the warmer weather. All right, have a good afternoon.